Welcome to the 100% Financed Podcast, home of entrepreneurs, business owners, and real estate investors everywhere. 100PF is not just an online business, it's a culture, helping you make more money while maintaining pretty credit. If you're looking for great content on credit repair, business credit, creative financing, motivation, and online business, then you found the right podcast. Listen up as Juan Pablo, the People's Mentor, presents another great podcast episode for your listening pleasure. Juan Pablo, give these beautiful people the tools they need to succeed.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is me, Juan Pablo, from the 100% Finance Podcast. Welcome. Today we have a special guest. We have Corey P. Smith on the recording, and he's a credit guru. So the topic of discussion is live above your means. Hey, welcome, Corey.
How you doing? I'm happy that you would extend me, or you have extended me, man. This opportunity to provide more information to people to help them get ahead financially by way of credit, as always.
Excellent. I'm glad you were able to find the time in your schedule, because I know you're all over the World Wide Web doing many things, published author, so you're knee-deep in the game. So I appreciate your time, and it's just an honor, because I greatly appreciate when people who are movers and shakers in the industry and they make the time just to extend value to people, to all the listeners out there. So I appreciate that. So, again, the topic of discussion, Corey, is live above your means. So I know you have a YouTube video, and we talked about this briefly. So before we get into the topic, just to give some background information to the listeners, can you tell us about yourself and the business you run? You know, if you have a rags to rich story, if you don't mind sharing it with us.
Oh, not at all. I think, excuse me, I just start out by saying, a lot of people that do follow me, they actually know, probably pretty familiar with my story of, working a 9 to 5, living from paycheck to paycheck, and getting that paycheck every 2 weeks only to have my bank account already in the negative balance from being overdrawn, from trying to survive from the previous 2 weeks, living in an apartment, lights turned out, sleeping on the floor with my wife and my baby girl, who's my oldest daughter, now deciding to quit the job and let the apartment go, and me and my wife moving into one of the rooms at her grandmother's house, and me just asking her to give me the opportunity to give her and myself and my daughter a better life. And, I like to set goals, and so I always put a 24-month time frame on my many short-term goals, and that's what I did. So we let the apartment go, moved in with her grandmother, and, in less than 24 months, we were buying our first home together, which is probably like 300 square feet, $300,000 house. It's pretty big in Memphis, where I'm from, and it all started from that point. It caused me to have more hunger to learn about credit, because that's what put me there. That's what got me started. And I just went from there and then moved into, the business credit side of it, buying the shell, of course, and getting, at that time, 2006, 2005, 2007, getting the business lines of credit were pretty easy back then, because it was stated. So over the course of a year or so, I had raised over $2 million in just lines of credit. And that's what got me started in investing in real estate on a small scale at the time. And, the money was coming so fast, believe it or not, after 18 months, I found myself almost back in the same boat. Broke, lost a lot, lost a house in Vero Beach, lost a condo in Atlanta, lost my main house in Memphis, and had to start over. Had to go and get a job. working as a corrections officer in Memphis. Gave myself another 24 months, and I did it again. Now I'm not looking back. I'm a lot wiser than I was before. So, you know, that's pretty much my story in a nutshell. That's pretty much my story.
That's an impressive story at that. Even though you had somewhat of a roller coaster ride, you still stayed on that journey towards financial freedom. Because I'm sure many people who are listening to your story, Corey, would agree that if they were in your shoes, more than likely after the first failure, they just would have stopped. They would have stayed at their 9 to 5, take care of the family, and let that be that. But you say, you know what? I have another 24 months. I'm going to get back on this train and ride this out to financial freedom. So if you could share with us before we get to the next question, Corey, what businesses do you run now? So we understand where you started, but where are you at now in regard to business?
Right now, I still buy and sell property, flip houses. At the same time, I try to find the best deals that I can to. I'm building a portfolio of rental properties, which I turn over to management companies. That kind of, you know, helps with the headache. My goal is to actually just maintain about 100 rental properties, you know, to have a cash flow of money coming in. Aside from that, I try to find some of the houses that I flip. I try to find at least a $20,000 spread in where I could, you know, flip and make me at least $20,000 in cash off those deals. I have a really good hard money lender that I use. I like. She really like a diamond in the rough for me. It helps me buy some of the larger properties. I can come to the table with cash, and in 30 days I have her money back to her. I have a private rental car business. You know, I kind of circulate probably. I have 16 vehicles now between Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and California. I kind of rotate. You know, I have a steady stream of people that rent those cars from me. And my books. Put a lot of focus on my books now. Right now I have How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus in the Market. I have Conspiracy of Credit in the Marketplace. Within the next 2 weeks, I would definitely have the Unbreakable Laws of Business Credit in the market, as well as the Credit Dictionary. They were actually supposed to be released this week, but I just had a hiccup. You know how that goes. So that's pretty much what I got going on now. Other than that, you know, life is grand. I'm doing what I love. I'm free. I have peace of mind, and I'm just looking for the next business venture. One of my goals is actually trying to build a small boutique hotel. So I am working on that with HSBC Bank. Just trying to raise the capital to put that in place, so I can kind of do that independently. So that's what I'm up to right now.
Wow, Corey, as I'm listening, I'm thinking like, man, we need a whole nother podcast episode just for you to talk about your businesses. I'm like, dang, this dude's a serial entrepreneur. Went from broke to being a I don't know if you're a multi-millionaire yet, but at least a serial entrepreneur. But
multi-millionaire in terms of assets. Like I wouldn't lie and say
on paper.
Yeah. You know, I mean the cash is good, but it's nowhere where I want to be. It's nowhere where I plan on being. You know, it'll come with time. I have no doubt. But the main thing is having the profit coming in at least while I'm in the bed asleep. So I have no.
That's what I like to call the wake up whenever you feel like money. That's what we say all the time. You know, you wake up, check your bank account or check your mailbox, and it's another check or another deposit. Yeah, and you sound like my twin brother.
expect money, my brother. Expect money. That's why I always say expect money when you go to the mailbox. Expect money when you get up and check your PayPal account, or you check your email account, or you check your bank account. Expect money. You expect money to show up. To show up.
That's true. Just like a farmer planting the seed, he's in an expectation, and that seed might not produce a crop, tomorrow because there's seed time and harvest. But eventually he's like, hey, this is about to spring up pretty soon. So you sound like my twin brother over there, man. 100 rental units, that's my goal for the end of this year as well. And we have similar strategies in regard to credit and to funding. And we both start off with humble beginnings. So speaking of the humble beginnings, when you were in that position of, let's say, quote-unquote, poverty or poor, do you believe that being poor is only a reflection of your bank account? Or is there more to it?
I don't think it's a reflection of your bank account. The reason why I say that is because at one point I had plenty of cash, but I was afraid of banks. I'm still afraid of banks. And that's only because of some of the things I've been through. I mean, I've had money frozen. I've had money taken before. So it wasn't a reflection of my financial stability. So I can't say that the bank account is always a reflection of being poor, because I had plenty of money at one point, but I wasn't keeping it in the bank. I may have kept a few $1,000s in the bank, but I might have been sitting on $200,000. So I can't say that. When I speak of being poor is. If you watch any of the clips from my upcoming documentary, I talk about it being a mindset. I talk about it being, your ability to assess where you're at in life and decide to take a risk, because that's what it's all about. I mean, you can live your life and be content, which is death to me, which is you might as well be dead if you're content with being, with a mediocre lifestyle. Or you can take a risk and maybe find freedom. Well, I won't even say maybe. You will find freedom. So, being poor is you taking a risk or you not taking a risk. And if you don't take the risk, then mentally you will remain poor, because someone else has control of your life. And when someone else has control of your life, that makes you a slave. And sad to say, most slaves they never prosper financially, if that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. So let me ask you this next question, Corey, about being poor. Is there a correlation, or are there any similarities amongst a person being poor and a person having poor credit?
Nah. And the reason I say that, there's plenty of poor people that have great credit. I find them all the time. They become credit investors. They become my partners. You got a lot of poor people that's walking around that have great credit but don't realize the resource that they have. So I won't say that either. I always tell people you have people that go their whole life, they work 30 years, and they be proud about their 720 credit score, and they be like, they want to brag on it, but, you're going to die with a great credit score. That's it. And the way the marketplace is, a lot of banks, a lot of lenders have these internal policies where they don't even want to lend to people that's over the age of 70. So so I can't say that. Plenty of poor people with great credit, plenty of poor people with no credit, plenty of rich people with bad credit but are cash heavy. So I wouldn't say, there's no correlation between the two, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you 100%. And it is crazy, as you said earlier, about dying with great credit. I reflected on that years ago, and I wonder, what is the point of having pretty credit, having a 720-plus FICO score, and you're not leveraging it? Likewise, if you have a huge following on YouTube or social media, what's the point of having all these friends, followers, subscribers, whatever you want to call them, you're not making money off of it. You know, you have to leverage what you got, right, in order to perhaps live above your means. So that ties it into the next question I have for you, Corey. Most people advise living below their means, but you advise people to live above their means. Can you please explain that for us?
What I mean by that, like, think about this. Okay, you will have people that they will complain. Like, let's say you have family members. You have family members that's content with living like a basic lifestyle, real mediocre. Like, I'm gonna go to work, pay my bills. I'll go and buy me a Honda Accord or a Toyota Corolla or whatever's basic. Yeah. And they will complain or they will make comments about another relative who lives in a big house, drives a luxury vehicle, right? Now let's say both families are struggling. So my point is, why not struggle with something as opposed to struggling with nothing? I would rather live in a very, very nice and safe neighborhood and struggle as opposed to me living in a very impoverished neighborhood with a lot of crime and struggling. You follow me? So it's like me wanting more and me trying to have the best possible lifestyle that I can have. That's going to push me more because I want to keep that lifestyle. And it's like you find yourself, like I work out, I lift weights. I find myself being able to lift heavier weight when I'm lifting weights with a friend of mine who lifts way more than me. But my bench press keeps going up. That's how I equate that to your lifestyle. Like if you got a big house, you're going to go harder to keep that big house, even if you're struggling. Because at the end of the day, if people living above their means, that means 98% of the population, which is broke, it doesn't matter. They still living above their means because they're still broke. What's the difference? They're still broke. So you living above your means even if you poor. So I'd rather live above my means and have the most that I can have. And at some point, me trying to have the most that I can have in life, it might push me over. It might push me over the edge. Why? One instance. Now I'm way ahead in the race. If that makes sense to you.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's very fitting and very recent as well. I was jogging along in Chattahoochee here in Atlanta, Georgia. They have trails and so forth. And I was jogging with Ron T. Hollywood. You spoke to him prior to the podcast. And as I'm jogging with him, he's been at CrossFit. I work out from home. And I seen he had a slight edge above me. And me, I want to win. I don't want this dude blowing past me, even though I'm tired and exhausted, even though I worked out earlier that day and on an empty stomach. But I'm going to do whatever I can to push myself to be either neck and neck with him or surpass him. So likewise, I understand your analogy in regard to living in a pretty neighborhood. Because if you see your neighbors are balling out of control, not to say you're keeping up with the Joneses, but that will motivate you if you're competitive. If you want more out of life, and say, you know what, how can I not just work harder, but work smarter? How can I improve the profits of my business? How can I increase sales or revenue? And it's all friendly competition. That boils down to having an accountability partner. And that's like you mentioned in regard to the gym. If he's stronger than you, he's going to be holding you accountable. And he's going to call you out. He's going to say, hey, why are you lifting that baby weight? Or come on, let's do one more set. Even though you might be tired, might be exhausted, had a long day, you'll still do it because you have an accountability partner. So I understand now what you mean by living above your means. If you're living above your means, it will kind of force you to increase your level of productivity or your profit because of the circle you hang around. And that's really powerful too. And that's one thing that Robert Kiyosaki says. He mentioned that he focuses not just living below his means, but actually expanding his means. You know, he wants to be focused on how he can make more money, not how he can save a penny or two. He'd rather make dollars than save a few cents. So I appreciate your – oh, go ahead. You have something you want to say about that?
Nah, man. What you just said about, you know, like the whole, like neighborhood, like just real fast, like, I mean, when we understand that for real we are spiritual human beings, we're energy, right? And it's like when you just mentioned neighborhood, right? Like, one of the things that I love about my neighborhood is there are a lot of people that live in my neighborhood that have way more money than me. But that energy, I feel like just me being around that energy helps me draw from that. You know, it really does. So I just thought about that when you just brought up, your neighborhood or whatever you mentioned. That's it, you know, just that whole energy thing, you know, drawing from the energy of other people that's doing a lot more than you.
Yes, that's wisdom right there. If you live above your means, you will eventually live above your means.
Exactly.
Right?
I couldn't have said it any better.
Right. That's excellent. So speaking of words of wisdom, my next question for you, Corey, is this. What words of wisdom do you have for those struggling with poor credit or being poor in general?
Man, the best thing I can say to people who are struggling, they have to begin almost with it. They have to wake up every day. Try to wake up every day on a positive note. And what I mean by that, I'm sure because you are my brother in spirit or in energy or in the universe, you understand what I mean by this, or you probably heard this before, meaning like even if you wake up, when you get up in the morning, whether you meditate, whether you listen to some type of positive music, whether you listen to somebody else, on a motivational video or a motivational tape, that's the first thing I would say. Begin to start your day off like that. Then start to look at your life as a house that's not yet built, but you can already see how it's going to turn out when it's finished. You can see where you're going to put the sofa in this room, or where you're going to put the contemporary table in this room. You got to begin to see your life, and then you got to start to work towards that. Because I deal in credit, I say you have to begin with your credit if you don't have the cash, meaning you got to get copies of your credit report. You got to see what's on your credit report and then begin to fight to clean it up. In the meantime, start educating yourself on real estate investing, or start educating yourself on, if you ever had a passion to open up a restaurant, to open up a club, or to open up a cleaning business, start doing your research. In the process of you cleaning up your credit and doing your research to live out your dream, at some point the two will come together and you will be ready, because you got to be ready. Sometimes we miss opportunities because we are not ready. And we're like, man, the bank would have gave me a loan if my credit score was 20 points higher. But if you would have been working on your credit 6 months ago, it would have been 20 points higher. Also start to look for partners. Look for other credit partners to partner up with you, because two good credit scores are better than one. And that's what, I talk about a community of credit a lot, and that's what I mean. Like when you got a group of people with great credit, you can do a whole lot. What I mean by that, even when I just spoke about me trying to get this money from HSBC, this is what I did. I got 4 other people with great credit along with my credit, and I got them lines of credit, and we took $100,000 of their money just to open up the account with HSBC. It wasn't all of my money per se, but I just partnered up with them. So that money is cooking at HSBC, and we making small deposits, and we build up the company. So when we go back to HSBC and we need $1 million, we need $1.5 million, they're gonna give it to us. That's what I mean. Like you gotta look for things like that. You gotta be creative, because you can do a whole lot more. You know, I don't have to have all the money. There's multiple streams of income. And I'll eat well. My family will eat well. And I'm building something to leave to my kids, because at this point it's all about them anyway, right? So that's what I mean. That's my best advice. I guess have a reason to why you want a better life. I know for me, I'm so happy when I see my baby girl. And if I come in and she's on the couch and she has her iPhone and she's watching TV and she's eating food, but she's just happy. And that happiness comes from the work of my hands. So I have reasons like that. So I guess that's the best advice that I can give.
That was really solid advice. I just want to make sure you listeners out there take heed to what Corey is saying. And I like the analogies that you paint for us as well, Corey, about, if you want a house, you have to picture with specifics how you want the house to be, how you want it to look. It's like you're determining the end from the beginning. It's like you're the architect of your life. And with every architect who's about to design empire, if you will, they have blueprints. They have a goal in mind. They know exactly what the finished product will look like before they start with the construction. And I like that. And the other point I would like to make, the piggyback off that you made, Corey, was about if only you would have repaired your credit 6 months ago. I know you're online. I'm online, so I'm sure you receive a ton of comments and emails just like I do. And people say, hey, I'm in a situation. I can't qualify for the loan. I have this deal on the contract. What do I do? And then I'm thinking like, well, it would have been great if you would have prepared your fields first before you built your house. Get your credit straight. Prepare your fields by doing that first, and then, you have a better opportunity of closing on this deal. Of course, I'll still advise the person and share with them what they can do to rectify that situation, but it'll be so much easier. You'll have so fewer headaches if you just would have got your credit straight first and foremost.
Right.
Is there anything you'd like to say about that, the piggyback?
I love it. I don't know, and because you can do it. Like, there's nothing on your credit report that you cannot get off. And I don't know whether you got, I had text Ryan, I had just got a check from a lawsuit from LexisNexis. I don't know if he shared that with you.
Oh, yeah, it's like $300, right?
Yeah, it was $300, right? But and I put it on the text. I was like, doesn't matter how small it is, it's a win. Like, but I emphasize to people so much, like, when you're doing the right thing with the credit bureaus, don't be afraid to sue them because it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You have to find the right attorney that knows what he's doing. I mean, whether it's a bankruptcy, whatever, they'll take it off. They'll take it off, period. And I just sent that to him, like, as proof. Get involved with other people that thinks like you, that understand how powerful this credit thing can be. So that's all I was just piggybacking on what you were saying. That's it.
Okay, that's excellent. That's excellent. So my final question for you, Corey, is this. I know you gave a lot of tidbits, words of wisdom, but how can a person get ahead financially right now using their credit? Whether it's for real estate, whether it's for business.
They have good credit?
Yes, assuming they had good credit. Yes, if there's a listener out there, in which we stated earlier, there's many people who die with great credit and they never leveraged it. What can that person do right now to get ahead financially?
Man, the first thing I would do, if I'm that person with great credit, I wouldn't start with the banks first. I would start with the credit unions. I would sign up for every credit union that I know was lending money, because they're not as strict in terms of asking you to sign 4506Ts, or you can actually get a paper loan with them as opposed to, you know, the credit cards with some of the other bigger banks. They'll give you the credit card, but they might give you a harder time with getting a loan. So I would start with the credit union, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with, the basic ones that everybody's using, like Navy and USAA and United Nations and NASA and Tinker, all of those. Like, I would definitely get in those credit unions and, you know, try to get me some money from them. Once I got about 25 grand in my possession, or I have access to it, then I would find me a really good real estate agent to help me research some of the states that have great foreclosed properties that have you know, equity in them. Like, let's say in Memphis, I'll buy these foreclosed properties. Sometimes I get them for $5,000-$6,000, but they'll appraise for like 40. They may appraise for 50, and they already have renters in those properties, and you can find those deals. So if you got 25,000 and you can find those deals, like whether it's in Memphis, whether it's in Oklahoma City, or Birmingham, these are great places. Get you a couple of those houses. You already got equity in them. You already got cash flow coming from those properties, and at the same time you're building up your net worth, because those become assets that you can put into your portfolio. That'll be the first thing that I would do, and I would go from there. Then at that point, once I have those under my belt, I'm going back to the bank to get some money. I'll give me a really good CPA to help me with my financial statements, to help me look really great on paper, along with my assets, which is real estate, whether it's 2-3 houses, and I'm going back to the bank, and I'm trying to get more money. I'm trying to do bigger deals. Or if you can find a really good hard money lender, and you got somebody in place, meaning a credit investor or somebody that you partnered up with, hey, use the hard money lender. Get that property refinanced in 30 days or sold in 30 days, and also work it out with your hard money lender, like, hey, I need some money on the front end to do some rehab on the house. So, I mean, if that makes sense, I know that's a lot, but that's some of the things that I would do. And before you know it, now you got some breathing room, because you at least got 30, 40, 50 grand that's accessible to you. So that would be my advice. I know that's a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, it is a lot, man. That's some good content right there, man. I'm sure, like, the podcast listener who's listening to this right now is like, dang, let me pull over in the car right now so I can take some notes. It's some good stuff, right? It's really great content. The only thing I will add to that, Corey, which is a product that we actually offer here at 100% Finance, is business funding. That's one of the tools that I've used to acquire my portfolio. Currently, I have 63 rental units, and the business funding does not show up on my personal credit. So that's what I use strategically. And you and I have similar lines where we are using debt precisely to buy our financial freedom. And if you're listening, you should be doing the same. And if your credit is hindering you from getting financing, or if you're not networking and you don't have the partners who can bring the credit to the table, then you need to get to work. You need to, A, fix your credit, and B, start networking with people who can bring to the table what you lack, which is that pretty credit. So last and certainly not least, Corey, I really appreciate your time. Do you have any products or service you would like to market right now?
Yeah, man. If anybody just wants real raw and great information, I have 2 books available right now through Amazon, through iBooks, basically anywhere books are sold. Those 2 books are Conspiracy of Credit and How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus. And within the next couple of weeks, I will have the Unbreakable Laws of Business Credit as well as the Credit Dictionary in the marketplace. Those books will also be available for purchase. And, of course, I have the documentary, Conspiracy of Credit. It will be out on Netflix in May of this year. So a lot of raw information in that documentary, just real stuff, real good information. So, if you did your research on me, I give it to you raw.
Man, that's what's up. I appreciate that, Corey. And what we'll do as well, if you want the links for the books, I'll place it in the description of this podcast episode. So you can just click on that and then make the purchase there. But I appreciate your time, Corey. And as always, guys, to your success. Continue to earn passively and live passionately. Peace.